In today's demonstration and training video, we're going to review SiteMinder and FuelMaster, two of the tools that we interact with FBO Director to simplify your operations. So first thing I'm doing is logging into the application, and prior to getting started with these two imports, whichever device you're using, you'll have to do some initial setup on your side and then have to interact with our support team. So first, go to Fuel Management, and you'll want to check your assets to see if you have a SiteMinder or FuelMaster terminal set up at your location. We are in our test database, and there are a lot of assets. Most people don't have this many assets. But what you see here, I'm actually using some self-serve terminals from Yelvington Jet in Daytona Beach for demonstration purposes. So out at their Spruce Creek Airport, they have one terminal called Beach, and they have another terminal called Cessna. And then we've marked these as self-serve accordingly. So that's step one, just making sure you've set up a terminal within your database and set the fuel product code on that terminal accordingly. Step two, going to your meters and making sure that those are mapped to the pump names that will come in from your self-serve terminals. So again, if we take a look at Beach, which is this one right here, you'll see Beach is mapped to a pump name called 100 low lead. And for Cessna, I've mapped that to a pump name called Air Z-2. And you'll understand that in just a moment. But essentially, those pump names come from the export file from your QT Pod or from your FuelMaster device. We are now ready to actually execute an import. So typically you're going to be at this main menu right here with the default screen showing on the screen. You would go to Fuel Management, Automation, and click Self-Serve Import. Notice here at the top it says Import Self-Serve Data, and then select the self-serve type. So we have 5 choices. To start with, I'm going to do a SiteMinder import. All of these work the same whether you're using QT Pod, SiteMinder, or any of the multiple versions of FuelMaster. You'll choose the file that you exported from your terminal. So in my case, I have that stored here in a database, and I created one for Cessna. Today's date. So you choose the file and then click Upload Self-Serve File. This will give you a chance to view the data on the screen prior to importing. So what you see here is a file which actually I edited the dates to make this work out a little bit more in our favor. SiteMinder gives you a status, closed data transactions will be imported. QT Pod SiteMinder shows you the card type that was used. And then over here we have the tail number. Next, after you do that, just click Send to Database. And if there was a problem, you'll get a notification on the screen. And I did that intentionally to show you what would happen. So in this particular case, you see we had another terminal. I showed you how to map 100 low lead. We have another terminal called MoGas. So to correct that, go to Setup, Meters, and you would want to map that to the appropriate terminal. So in this case, I have a Cessna terminal that supports MoGas. And if I recall, because I don't remember now, I think the pump name was MoGas. We'll update that. We will turn right back around and import again. Same process, choose File, browse to the location of your file, pick the file, click Upload, and I'm just verifying that was called MoGas. So we do a pre-check to make sure everything's valid. When you're ready, click Send to Database, and 5 records were imported. I'm going to return to the main screen by clicking the FBO Director logo at the top. And notice we now have records that have been imported. Payment types with credit cards. I will randomly select one of these. We'll choose 307. And on the screen, you'll see the details here. It was an Avgas delivery. There's the ticket, which we use the tail number and the date time to create that, and the initials show QT. It shows that it came in as Visa and the last 4. All right, now let's repeat the process and do this for FuelMaster. So Fuel Management, Automation, Self-Serve Import. This time I'm going to choose the FuelMaster Plus Standard. I don't know how critical their file types are, other than I do know that there's a difference between standard and plus. But if you chose FuelMaster Plus or 2500 Plus, either one would probably work. But that's kind of the key in getting this data imported, is just knowing if you have a standard or a plus. And then I have a FuelMaster file right here. We'll click Upload Self-Serve File. The FuelMaster data is a little bit different, and in this particular file, I don't have any tail numbers. So we have it on the screen. I did these for yesterday. Pump name, ARZ, send to database, and we imported 4 records. Again, we'll return to the main screen. We'll see the 4, but if you noted, I did FuelMaster for yesterday. So I'm just going to click yesterday, refresh the screen. I have 4 records, no tail numbers, because in that particular file I didn't have any. We will randomly click one of the files, and we have Avgas. Avgas delivered has the Cessna location, showing the information on the screen, the account that it was imported as, and then the FuelMaster initials. So what we like to do, if you want to use this tool to import data from your SiteMinder, QT Pod, or your FuelMaster device, is please reach out to support at ascenta.com. Email us a copy of the file. So what we're looking for is a copy of this file right here. This is the SiteMinder file. And what we want to see is a copy of the raw data, so that way we can do the setup and make sure everything looks good. So if you want to know what you're sending us, here's what that looks like. This is what the file looks like. You can open it up. It's a comma delimited file. But if you can email that file to us, we will use it in staging for some testing. Make sure everything's set up properly, and then on a daily basis, you'll be able to start the process.